welcome to another video of Linux for absolute beginners. My name is Tia from DevOps Easy Learning, and today we'll be going through a usermod command, right? Let's say you have created a user and you want to make some modification. How are you going to do that? We need to use the usermod command, and we have a couple of options that we're going to discuss. Now, here, with the usermod command, we have a couple of options, especially you have created a user and you have a group that you have also created and you want to add that user into a group. You can go ahead and use the user mod command, and you go ahead here and use the -ag, capital G. What does that mean? Basically, when you create a user in Linux, Linux will automatically create a group that it will call that group a primary group. And if you want to add that user into a secondary group, you need to make sure that you use the append, which is the -ag option. If, let's say, within the organization, you have a user that basically belongs to the engineering group, you also have a user and you want to add that user also in the HR group in Linux world. If the user belongs already in the engineering group and you just say usermod and you don't use the -ag to append a user to the HR group, what will happen is that Linux will go ahead and move that user from the engineering group and add that user into the HR group. And that is not what you want. You want that user to belong to multiple groups, right? That means if a user belongs already to a group and you want to add that user into a secondary group, please make sure that you use the -a and G to append that user into a secondary group or a subgroup. Also, let's say a user travel, for instance, and you want to go ahead and put that user on no logging so that that user cannot log in. You can also use the usermod command and you change the bin. S basically stand for bin, and you go ahead and put that user in bin no logging. And as soon as you put the user to bin not logging, that user will not be able to log in. And with the usermod command, we still have another option that is really good called -L. With L, you use to lock the user account. Let's say you have a user that you don't want that user to log in. You can go ahead here and lock that user account. And you can also unlock it by using the usermod, and you use capital U. Also, a usermod -L. Let's say right now on the Linux operating system, my login name is called Tia. And tomorrow I change my name, and my name now is called Smith, and I want to change my login name. What can I do? I can also use the usermod command. Go ahead and put a new name, which is Smith, and the old name, which is Tia, and that will go ahead and change my login name from Tia to Smith. And also, the usermod -C is the one that we call this one a command. Let's say you want to create a user with the user first name and last name. How are you going to do that? You need to pass another argument when you say -C and go ahead and put the user first name and last name, and this is the user. And right here, it is basically the combination of some stuff. We say usermod. We'll go ahead here and call this user. We say usermod. We want to put the user and give him the shell SB no logging so that the user will not be able to log in. Also, we want to add this user in 3 subgroup, which is manager, finance, and sysadmin. And also, we want to change the name, right? We want to give the first name and the last name of the user, and that user is called Tim, right? Let us take this example and let us go ahead and create a user called Tim, and we'll create 3 group called finance and also sysadmin, called finance, sysadmin, and manager. And we'll go ahead and add the user Tim into these 3 groups here and see how it looks like. Now, I have a server already set up here, And before you follow up also, you need to have access to a Linux server. Let me go ahead and do the first thing by creating just a user, and I'll assign a password to that user. Let me log in into one of our Linux servers here and go ahead and type my password, and it will log me in. The first thing, I'll go ahead and create a user. I will switch to root because I don't want to be using sudo every single time. Type my password as I basically have the proper permission in the sudo file. I will be able to log in and switch as a root and work permanently as a root. Now, by using user add, I will say user add -m to create a home directory, and I'm going to call that user team. And if you go ahead and cat /home, like go ahead and just ls, for instance, say ls and say /home, and hit enter. We have a lot of user account here. Let me go ahead here and kind of pipe this thing into grep and see, oops. Let me go ahead and pipe this thing into grep and see if you have the user team home directory. It is there. Can I cut the /et? Can I cut /et PASSW and grep also to see if the user team was created successfully? Oops. Team. Indeed, the user team was created successfully. If we cut the shadow file, let us go ahead here and cut the shadow file and try to grep for the user team to see if the password, we can have a password assigned. You guys can see here that we have an exclamation point here, which means the team does not have a password. Let us go ahead now and assign the password to a user team. Use the PASSW, and I'm going to type the user team and give him the password of 12345 for now, 12345, and right now updated successfully. If you go ahead again and cut the shadow file, you guys will see now that a user team now was created and you have a password a password here, right, in the shadow file. Now, let us go ahead and create 3 groups. We're going to create a group called manager. We're going to create another one called finance, and we're also going to create another one called sysadmin. Let me go ahead and copy all this. First thing, group add. I'll go ahead and cancel this. Just use the group add command. The group add command. First one, I'm going to add a group called manager. Next, I'm going to add another group here called finance. And I'll add group finance exists already. That is fine. I'll go ahead and add another group here called sysadmin. Sysadmin. Let me go ahead and correct this. This should be X. Now, that means system administrator. Let me kind of cut /et groups, and I'm going to grep. I'm going to grab this finance group and see. Yeah, the group finance was created with the group ID 13,051, and here we don't have any user into this group called finance. Now, let us go ahead now and add a user into a group. We can go ahead here and use a usermod command. We want to modify this usermod, and I will go ahead and say -a, and I will use capital G. Or let me just, first of all, add the user into this group without using capital G. You guys will see what, without using A, we stand for append. I'll just say capital G, and I want to add a user team in the sysadmin group, first thing, and I'll hit enter. Let me go ahead and kind of check. Let me go ahead and check the groups that the user belongs to just by using the ID team. That is how we check the groups that the user belongs to. As you can see here, the user ID of team, the group ID, and also team belong to his primary group called team. This is something that Linux was created by default, right? When you go ahead and create a new user. And here we can see that team belongs to a group called sysadmin. Let us try to say, okay, we want to add team again in another group called finance and see what will happen. As we are not using append. And let us go ahead again and check the ID of teams. As you guys can see here, what happened is that Linux basically moved team from the group 6 admin and add team in the group finance. And that is not what we want. And that is what I explained earlier, that if you don't use the append, Linux will go ahead and move the user from one group to another. But if you want Linux to append team in the group 6 admin, and it will not remove team in the group finance, that is where you need to use the append here with a little a. And if you type ID team, you will see that team now belongs to a group finance, and team also belongs to a group 6 admin. And you can also check just like this, just by using the groups command, the group. I think that, let me see, the groups command with S, and you say team, and it's go ahead and show you all the groups that team belongs to. Team basically belongs to his primary group called team, 2 secondary groups, one is finance, another one is 6 admin. Now let us go ahead and add team now in the last group, which is, we added the group admin finance, which is manager. And we'll go ahead here and just say usermod, and we'll go ahead and also use the A, and we'll go add team in the group finance. And as you guys can see, if you say groups team, team belongs to the group finance, manager 6 admin, and we can also use the ID team, and you guys will see everything here, right? Which is great. Now, let us go ahead here and give team the first name and last name. If we go ahead here and cut /etpassw, we grab for team. If you grab for team, you guys will see here that, oops, let me go ahead here and say, okay, I need to pipe this thing into grep, and I grep for team. If you guys can look here, you guys can see the placeholder for the first name, last name, there is nothing there. It is this one, we don't have it. Can we go ahead now and use the user mod again? User mod, and we'll go ahead here and say -C, which stands for command, and let's say team name, first name is called Smith, and the last name is called like team, and we can go ahead and say this is Smith team, just like this. And the username that we want to modify is called team. If you hit enter and I cut this again, as you guys can see here, that we have the first name and the last name of the user team, right? Let us open another terminal here and see if the user team can log in. And if the user team can log in, that is cool. We'll go ahead now and put the user team on SBNO login and see if that user can log in again. I'll open another terminal here, and I'll go ahead and log in again. But I will log in now as a user team. Don't mind what I'm going to type here. Just want to get my environment prepared. And I will go ahead here and type the ZSH just to load some of my stuff here, ZSH, and this does not apply to you. Now, if you say SSH, I'm going to log in now as a user team and see if I can log in. Team, and I'm going to use my password 12345, and as you guys can see, team is able to log in, which is great. Let us go ahead now and change that again. User mod, we want to put team in /s, which stands for shell. And so you guys can see here, what is the shell? The shell, we want to use the xbin no logging, which is basically this one, xbin no logging. If you give this shell to team, what will happen is that team will not be able to log in. And what is the user? The user here is called team. And if we cut /etpassw, and we go ahead and pipe this thing into grep, and we look for the user team, you guys will see that team beans now is the team shell. I mean, it is SB no logging. Let us go ahead now and exit out of this server as the user team and try to log in again, and we will not be able to log in. If you type 12345, as you guys can see, the connection is going to close. Why? Because team now doesn't have any permission to log in. We put team on has been no logging, and team will not be able to log in. Let me go ahead and remove that and put team in bin bash. With bin bash, team will be able to log in because he went to vacation and we don't want him to log in. We can just put him on has been no logging. If I go back again, refresh, login as a team, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As you guys can see, team is able to log in. And let us go ahead now and lock team password also so that team will not be able to log in. We still use the user mod, but here we'll use the dash capital U and lock the password. If you hit enter and go ahead and kind of cut slash et pass, no, I want to check the shadow file, and I want to pipe it into grab and filter a specific user, which is team. And here, it looks like nothing really happened, right? But let us also go ahead and try to log in as a user team. If you do this, we log the account. If you go ahead and move to this terminal and I exit again and record this and put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and hit enter, oh, team is able to log in, which is not what I wanted, right? Because I want to lock his I want to lock his account so that he would not be able to log in. Let us go ahead and see the command that we type here and make sure that the syntax, it is basically correct. We use the user mod. We say -r. Oh, we make a mistake here because we say unlock. And that is why I was a little bit surprised. Because if you see here, this account here is not locked. See here in front of the password hash, we don't have something. But let me go ahead and lock it with capital L because I just unlock it as if it was locked. Let me use dash capital L. And let me also record this and check here. Check here carefully. You guys will see that something was added here, which is an exclamation point in front of the password hash. When you see an exclamation point in front of the password hash, this means the account is locked. And when this account is locked, this is an interview question, and they ask me, when this account is locked, what does that mean? This means this user cannot log in. Let us go ahead and try that and see if user team can log in. If you go ahead and exit out of the server and try to log in again as the user team, and I'll put my password and I will not be able to log in. Why? Because the account is locked. Let me type it again one more time. You won't log in because the account is locked. Let us go ahead now and revert that back, and we'll just use the unlock. The U, that means I'm going to use the capital U and hit enter. And if you check it again, you guys can see here that the exclamation point in front of the password hash has disappeared. That means we can log in. Let me go ahead and try that. If you cancel this, and if you record the same command and put user as team, and put the user team. As you guys can see, look like I typed the wrong password. Yep, for sure. The password should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I typed the wrong password. So you guys can see here that the user team is able to log in. And the last thing now is to go ahead and make sure that we change the old name. Let's say tomorrow, team changed his name, and his name now is not Tim no more, but his name is called Peter. How are we going to change that? Let us go ahead. We say, okay, user mod -L. We say new name, old name, and we'll go ahead and change that. Let me go ahead here and use the user mod again. And I will say -L. The new name is Peter. The new name is Peter. And the old name was Tim. And we can see here that the user call Tim is currently, okay, let us go ahead. I will exit because he's logging, right? I'll basically get out of the server and I will record the command. We are saying here that the user team is currently used by the process this. I'll go ahead and kill this. Let me go ahead and just use a command here and say kill -9, and I will kill this process so that I will not be having any kind of issue. And there's no such process. Well, let me go ahead again and change this. User mod -L, new name, last name, and team. Yep, it works now. And let me go ahead and try to log in now as a user Peter with a password 12345 to see if we'll be able to get in. If you record that and change this one to Peter, oops, and the password should be 12345 as usual, 12345. And as you guys can see, we are able to log in. And if you cut also /etpassw and we grabbed a user called Peter, you guys will see that we'll have Peter with Smith. As you guys can see here, this is Peter here, and it's now the name here is called his name here is still called Smith Team, but we change the login name, and we can also go ahead now and make sure that we change also his name and put that name now as what? As Smith Peter instead of Smith Team, first name, last name. And this is Peter. And if you hit enter and cut this again, you guys can see that we change everything. Let's say Peter got married and his name get changed. Tim just got married and his name changed from Tim to Peter, something like that. And he wanted to change his login name and also his last name, right? We're able to change the login name, also the last name, right? And right now his name is Smith Peter instead of Smith Tim. That's it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please let us know in the comment below. And also, if you have not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, please go ahead and do so that you'll be notified when we publish a new video. Thank you. Bye-bye.